Hello, 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 everybody. It's Coffee with Kahtide.
Now, let's give a warm welcome to your host, Kahtide.
What's cooking, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Kahtide, your host, Kahtide. How's it going? Thank you for tuning into our show today. Coffee with Kahtide is a show where we discuss the most up-to-date news and pop culture, and where I answer questions and offer advice to my audience. If you're looking for a taste of what's going on in the world, you've come to the right place. Now, before we get to the show, you can find me all over the place on lovely social media sites like Tumblr, Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, YouTube, and X, of course. Feel free to follow me there. I also encourage you to check out the link down below for the Discord community. You can also check me out at my game dev project at savdevelopment.com. If you're interested in taking a look, go check it out. There's a new Patreon post up there for February if you want to take a look at the recent updates. Lastly, if you're enjoying the show, consider subscribing, following, anything you can do to show some support to the channel. I appreciate, including any contributions you make through the Patreon or through the Koffee link that I provide in my link tree. Your donations and subscriptions help support this show and all of my creative efforts. So thank you, everybody, for contributing. Super duper appreciate it. All right. Now we got a bunch of topics for news, pop culture, and more on today's show. So let's get into some of the news, shall we?
It's time for the news. Let's hear it, Kahtide.
And welcome to Current Events, where we talk about the news, politics, the economy, and all that other boring shit. Let us get into it. And boy, do I have a couple of stories here for us today. One that I really, really particularly wanted to get into. Oh gosh, did I not get... Oh my god, I'm so stupid. The one thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't have links on. Hold on. I'll find it. It's okay. It's okay. Not to. Don't worry about it. I do have a link here for something I did want to play, so I'm going to play it now for us. Don't you worry. I found it pretty quickly because it's an important news story, and that news story is the story of Aaron Bushnell, the recent Air Force member who self-immolated in protest of the Palestinian genocide. Now, this is an important topic, one I wanted to discuss and show off. Some context for us here.
United States Air Force.
Aaron Bushnell was 25.
And I will no longer be complicit in genocide.
This is his Twitch stream, where he set himself on fire outside of the Israeli embassy. I don't think they're gonna show. They don't show him lighting up, thankfully. He's a cyber defense operations specialist stationed in Ohio, and was due to end his service in May. Now, bear this in mind. This is something very important. So this gentleman, this martyr, set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy to protest his complicity in the genocide. He was actively, mind you, trying to get out of his service at this point. He was looking for transition options. I looked into this a bit further. He was definitely looking for transition options into civilian service out of the Air Force, and was constantly stuck with roadblocks. He could not get out of a service, and this was likely contributed to his decision making here. In an online profile, he called himself an aspiring software engineer. A friend of his says he grew up in a very religious family.
I don't think he was mentally ill. He probably thought that, as other people have said, that this society is ill. If we allow what's going on in Gaza, if we fund it with our own tax dollars, that's heinous and that's ill. and he was outraged by it, and he could see that politicians weren't acting. They ignore the protesters that are out there every weekend.
Mm-hmm. Those paying tribute to Bushnell echo his call for the U.S. to end its support of Israel's war.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! He has shown the ultimate sacrifice and took the ultimate form of protest.
The U.S. Air Force says it is investigating the incident. Of course it is. Protesters say Bushnell has allowed their voices to be heard again.
I think we should all hope to be that brave. I think to get to this point, it's taken a lot of ignorance on behalf of the U.S. government. They can't have missed all the videos of people suffering and the deaths, but I'd like to think that one of their own kind, someone who was in the military, that hopefully will change something.
More than 29,800 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. So yeah, my apologies for not having that ready immediately, but that was something I wanted to start off with here. I feel like a lot of news stories, a lot of news agencies haven't covered this to the satisfaction of the people around us, that are paying attention to their news. But we'll try and get into it a little bit. So yeah, Aaron Bushnell set himself on fire outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington. This was towards the beginning of the week. So yeah, he walked up. He poured a bunch of flammable liquids on himself while he was streaming. Streamed on Twitch, in fact. And he identified himself and lit himself on fire while shouting, "Free Palestine." And yeah, self-immolation is an incredibly painful and incredibly serious form of protest, one of the most ultimate forms of protest that there is. It really has shown a spotlight again on a lot going on in this situation, on the fact that not just the civilians are upset, but people in military are upset, because frankly, a lot of the people in the military are people who don't have many choices in life, or who are often goaded into joining, and are forced to be complicit in these sorts of events. He says here, today I'm planning to engage in an extreme act of protest against the genocide of the Palestinian people. Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff. And he's not the only person who's done this. Another person has also done this. I think this is the first armed forces member who've done this, though. One thing I wanted to talk about with this specifically was there's just a lot of people have tried to downplay this, or tried to go in the direction of mental illness, or that's really been the biggest thing in my opinion. Is I've seen a lot of people kind of use the mental illness shield, like either they won't talk about the actual purpose behind his protest and say, we should never support somebody killing themselves, even for political purposes, blah, blah, blah. There are people like that. And I just think it's shameful, frankly, to talk like that. I think it's shameful to talk like that. This man clearly knew exactly what he was talking about. He knew exactly what he was doing. He realized his complicity as a soldier in the imperial war machine that causes so much death and chaos around the world, that funds the death and chaos around the world, and supports it wholeheartedly, steadfastly. America is Israel's number one absolute top ally. We provide almost everything in terms of military support. We practically pay for the Israelis on the dole that live in Israel. It's not even about the military support. It's just support in general. He recognized the complicity, and he understood it, and he tried to get out, and they wouldn't let him out. He tried to transition out. He tried to transition out to other services and to civilian life. They wouldn't let him. After repeated attempts, and so he made a statement against the sick society. That is the real sickness, is the society that we live in, the disgusting allowances that are made by the government, by the military, by corporations to pursue the bottom dollar. That is the sickness. I don't think in any sense was Aaron sick. I think he saw the sickness and did what he could. He knew his position. Think about it this way. He knew his position. He knew that he is a U.S. military member. And if he makes a statement himself, that is 10 times, 100 times more powerful than any random civilian burning themselves. Sad to say. I mean, I think the death of any person in this sort of protest is stark and absolutely stunning. And every life is valuable in this regard. But in terms of political impact, sadly, a military member setting themselves on fire in front of the Israeli embassy, our ally, the one we steadfastly support, that has so much more impact, unfortunately, than anything else. And I can only hope that this impact will echo outward further. I already know many people have taken up his cause. Have taken him up as a martyr, as a rightly so, and I can only hope that it'll push the conversation forward to a better place and to a place of ceasefire. And who knows if that's going to happen. Okay, let's move on to another story. I do kind of want to get the Israel stuff out of the way. Unfortunately, there's more Israel news, so we're going to cover this one next. And just to highlight exactly what Aaron was fighting against, I want to highlight this as well. I'm gonna load up a couple links here for us really quickly. Give me a sec here. But yeah, the other story coming out of Israel today, Israel Palestine, is not today coming out of it, but coming out in general is there was a massive massacre. As aid was being dropped off to a number of impoverished, malnourished civilians. It's absolutely, utterly upsetting. But yeah, so carnage at Gaza food aid site amid Israeli gunfire. You can see here, there is footage, aerial footage from these.
And the Hamas-run Palestinian Ministry of Health say that more than 100 people were killed in what is being described as a chaotic incident as IDF soldiers opened fire as people were trying to get food from aid trucks. CNN's Jeremy Diamond is
absolutely
gathering
disgusting.
new details. He's been picking up some new reporting. Jeremy, bring us up to speed here.
Well, first of all, Kate, I think it's important to note that the aid situation, the humanitarian situation in northern Gaza is just so desperate. And that seems to be part of what led to this scene. Hundreds, if not thousands of people surrounding some of these aid trucks that were able to enter northern Gaza. Some of the very few aid trucks that have actually been able to make it in there. And
mind you, a lot of these aid trucks are not able to get into the area because Israeli protesters are standing in the way, blocking their access in many cases. So think about that: hundreds, thousands of people trying to access aid trucks. An aid truck, one aid truck. That's not even. Most of these aid trucks aren't even the size of like a semi truck. They're usually the size of like a construction truck. That's mind-boggling to think how many people are trying to get food and water and resources.
You can see in this video by the from the Israeli military, the crowds of people around these trucks. But what appears to have happened is that the Israeli military opened fire on some of these people who were surrounding these trucks.
And they knew.
Israeli military official telling us that the crowd approached the forces in a manner that posed a threat to the troops, and they say that those troops then responded with live fire. Now, eyewitnesses on the scene have told us that Israeli tanks as well as drones opened fire on this crowd, and that following that there was a chaotic scene. Some of the drivers of these aid trucks apparently
look. I mean, sorry for people who are on Spotify, you can't see this, but look at how many fucking people are in here. How could you ever possibly like open fire on this and consider it justified? How? This is masses of desperate people looking for just anything to eat or drink, and you decide that this is a fucking army attacking you? Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Amid this gunfire and killed several additional people. We were told that 104 people were killed in this incident, 760 people injured, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health. It's not clear yet how many of those were killed by Israeli gunfire versus by these trucks and the ensuing chaos. But our eyewitnesses on the ground indicate that it was the Israeli gunfire that prompted some of those trucks to flee the scene and in the process run over some of these individuals. But we're still working to gather additional details. The Israeli military
absolutely shocking
that the incident is under review, and they are also saying in a statement that Gazan residents surrounded the trucks, looted the supplies being delivered.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. See that? Looted the supplies. That's how the Israelis frame it. The Israelis have done nothing but fucking deny food and water and medical supplies to these people. And when these people become desperate for food, water, and medical supplies, the Israelis then turn around and say they're looting them because they precipitated the situation in the first place. It is disgusting. I cannot understand. I'm sorry, I'm getting heated here, but I cannot understand how some people continue to stand by Israel and its actions here. How? How can you possibly do this? You are like the racist people screaming in the faces of children trying to integrate into schools in the 60s during Jim Crow South. During the Jim Crow South. You're like those people. You are literally the disgusting, vile abominations that we're going to point to 100 years from now in our history books, and we're going to say, look at this vileness, look at this evilness that was allowed to perpetuate in this country, in this world. Look at this vileness that was allowed. These are people. This is the kind of hatred that existed in the world a century ago. We're going to look at you. We're going to look at you, and we're going to say how disgusting you are as people, and no one is going to side with you. You are on the wrong side of history. And the only way that you can possibly justify this is by somehow taking over the whole planet and rewriting the history in your terms, which will never fucking happen because you are a minority of people. Oh my God, I'm so fucking heated. I'm sorry. Just the bigotry, the mass bigotry across the planet. It is a very vocal and loud minority that we must stamp out. I'm sorry. We must stamp it out. And it has to happen. We need to speak up. And sometimes I just need an outlet to say that. Sorry, let's continue the clip.
Dozens of Gazans, they say, were injured as a result of pushing and trampling. This was clearly more than just pushing and trampling, and we have eyewitnesses making very clear that the Israeli military did indeed open fire on these individuals as well. Now, we should note that this is only happening because of how desperate the humanitarian situation is in northern Gaza. Very few aid trucks have actually been able to make it in there. The World Food Program recently suspended aid deliveries to northern Gaza, saying that it was too unsafe. Part of that has to do with a lack of coordination with the Israeli military to get those trucks
purposeful lack of coordination
safely in a way that they are not targeted. And it also has to do with the fact that the Israeli military in the past has targeted police officers who have been around those aid convoys. And so there is very little security for these. You combine that lack of...
It makes you wonder, why are they targeting police officers around this? Why are they targeting security around these trucks? Why? What purpose does that serve? Think about it. It really, it's further to animalize the Palestinian people. Like to make them look like they are beasts and monsters that would shred through a truck to get supplies without any consideration for security or process. It's always to make them look like animals. It's always to do that. This is why Israel funded Hamas for so long, was that because they only supported Hamas because they believed they could turn Hamas into this sort of boogeyman monster that they could forever use to justify their horrible apartheid state. It's always to do this.
Security, you combine that with the fact that people are on the brink of famine in northern Gaza, and then the Israeli military also being on the scene, and this is the situation that appears to have arisen.
Sorry, that's the end of the clip. Okay, anyway, awful stuff. Really, really awful stuff. There's apparently Wolf Blitzer decided to press him. We can see if there's anything here. They're pressing an IDF spokesperson here.
Because as you heard, eyewitnesses on the scene, they strongly dispute the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces account, the account you're presenting right now. They say
let's see the Israeli perspective.
Opened fire first on people near the trucks, causing them to panic and the truck drivers to simply drive away. What evidence, if any, do you have, Colonel, to support the IDF account?
We distributed extensive video footage sharing the process and the movement of the trucks as they were moving forward, as they continued to go, as they plowed through some of the people. Nothing to do with our forces at this time.
Oh, really?
Of course, I will say we're continuing to investigate, continuing to inquire in our after actions activities. This is continuing. We're continuing to look into it. But this is the facts. This is what we know at this time.
Because the drone video that you released, and we've been showing it to our viewers here in the United States and indeed around the world, doesn't show trucks driving into the crowds. It also doesn't show Israeli forces opening fire. Do you have other video, Colonel, of those incidents? And if you do, will you release that video?
Do they? Do they have the video?
Extensively. Unfortunately, you're only showing a small fraction of the video footage that we.
They can't even defend this. Look, he has no defense. He has no defense. All he says is, "Oh, it wasn't us. We don't have any evidence of it. We didn't see it." They have nothing. They have nothing because they know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to finish off the Palestinian people, and it's bald-faced at this point. And I think anybody who misses that at this point is living in willful ignorance, a blissful, willful ignorance that I hope one day will be completely shattered, utterly and inalienably. Anyway, let's move on. Can we move on to some happy news? Let's see if there's some happy news on my list here. Anything happy? Oh, I do have something happy. What do you know? Hey, look at this. Mitch McConnell will finally step down as Senate Republican. The old crone, the old bastard, the tortoise. He has finally decided to move on, and boy howdy, it's so late. It's so late, but better late than never, I guess, right? Here we go.
I stand before you today, Mr. President, and my colleagues, to say this will be my last term as Republican leader of the Senate.
God.
I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. However, I'll complete my job my colleagues have given me until we select a new leader in November, and they take the helm next January.
He can barely talk.
I'll finish the job the people of Kentucky hired me to do as well, albeit from a different seat. And I'm actually looking forward to that.
Wait a second. Oh, I didn't even realize. Okay, so he's not even retiring from his seat. He's just retiring from the leadership job. My God in heaven, this guy needs to step down. His brain is melting out of his head. I mean, come on, he can barely get through one fucking sentence here. Jesus Christ. Mitch McConnell, the longest serving Senate leader in history, shocking, who maintained his power in the face of dramatic convulsions in the Republican Party for almost 2 decades, will step down from that position in November. He turned 82 last week. 82. Why do we have so many octogenarians running this country? God fucking damn. He's quoted here saying, back in the day, one of life's most underappreciated talents is to know when it's time to move on to life's next chapter. Oh, wait, no, that's what he just said. Okay. So I stand before you today to say that this will be my last term as Republican leader of the Senate. Thank fucking God. His Senate term ends in 2027. I don't think he's going to make it to 2027. I really don't. Do we have any replacements yet? Let's see here. For the moment, very few GOP senators are declaring their preferred McConnell successor. Asked which of the 3 Johns he favors to become the next Republican leader, Senator Tim Scott spoke for many on Wednesday by chuckling, replying, "Only good question." They got nothing. They have no leadership anymore. Do they have any kind of leadership? Jesus Christ. I guess John Thune is an option. Who else do we have? What? I don't know. Here, let's see. There might be a clip here talking about who we have as a replacement here. Oh, there's an 11-minute clip. I'm not checking that out. No, we're not watching an 11-minute clip. Ugh. Some, such as Tommy Tuberville, want to elect a new leader who will be a cheerleader for Trump, unsurprising. Other Republicans who point to what they view as Trump's spotty record endorsing Republican candidates who can actually win Senate seats in November not to mention Trump's failure to win re-election in 2020, want to keep a healthy distance from Trump. Shocking. Let's see. Two leading candidates to replace McConnell, Senate Republican Whip John Thune and former Senate GOP Whip John Cornyn, have an up and down relationship with Trump over the years. So that's our two boys right now, apparently. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? It's boring. That guy should have left the ages ago. Ages ago. Mitch McConnell should have left the probably years before he ended up blanking out at the podium. I think he should have left a long time ago, but whatever. Hey, it is what it is. He's leaving now, and this will only put more pressure on the Republican Party that is currently rudderless and leaderless, seeing as they have channeled themselves towards an authoritarian structure. And authoritarian structures, in my opinion and experience, need a leader, not leaders. And since Trump can't be every leader in this democratic process, they will be doomed to fail, I believe. We'll see. We'll see, of course. We'll see how things go. I'm sure that things will go fantastically. Let's see. What other interesting political news do we have here? Man, it's been just like it's just been not uninteresting week for news, I have to say. Mostly uninteresting. There's been some updates on the recent funeral for Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny. The news has been really, really keen on this guy, despite the fact that I don't really think he had much sway anywhere really. And, you know, he did make the foolish decision of making his way back to Russia, which everybody, again, still seems to think is really brave. I don't really understand why, considering, you know, Putin's stranglehold on power, but whatever. Let's see some clips here from CNN.
Why aren't you afraid?
I'm not afraid. Why I should afraid? I am in my country. I act according to the constitution.
Do you hold Putin responsible for the death of Alexei Navalny?
Oh yes, definitely. No doubt. No doubt.
The Kremlin denies it. They say that they had
Oh,
nothing to
they
do with
said, if they ever say and agree with what they have done bad, I would be the first to applaud.
I do like this lady.
Why have you come here today to pay your respects?
There's one thing I do love, which is I love old Russian women because they will say everything that they think. They will not spare you at all. They will cut straight to the heart of it. And I feel like basically any like granny from Eastern Europe or from Russia or from that area is going to say exactly what they think.
I came from St. Petersburg.
From St. Petersburg?
St. Petersburg. And I came here because I loved his person. I loved his hero. He's the real hero of our time. Alexei Navalny, of course. And for me, it's a personal tragedy. I want to say to him, farewell.
What does the death of Alexei Navalny say about the state of your country, the state of Russia today? For you, what does it say about Russia?
For me, it means that our state, step by step, became a fascist state.
The Kremlin have denied any connection with the death of Alexei Navalny.
Of course, they denied that, but they do it openly. They did it openly and cynically. So they demonstrate to the whole world, we do what we want to do, and we will do what we want to do.
I mean, I don't doubt that. I mean, I think the likelihood that the Kremlin had a part to play in his death is likely very high. Also, ad break incoming, folks. If you are on here live on Twitch and you want to help support the channel and avoid ads, you can do so by hitting that subscribe button. Do consider hitting that. It really does help me out a lot. When you subscribe, you help put dollars in my pocket, and you help support the stream and provide more reporting, more game content, and more video game development work. You help fund that as well. So consider subscribing. It really means a lot to me. And if you're watching the VODs, or if you're listening on Spotify, you want to help contribute through the Patreon or through Koffee, those are super duper appreciated. So consider helping out there. Would really appreciate that a lot. But yeah, anyway. Continue on.
We can repress you.
And you're not afraid of speaking out today?
No, I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I believe in God.
I do think that Russian grannies are pretty awesome. Navalny did say here in a CNN documentary, "My message for the situation when I am killed is very simple: not give up." Fair enough. I mean, people support him, you know, and I can understand why. You know, he is in opposition to Putin. Putin is a complex figure, a terrible person, but also one that is beloved. Definitely a unique person, and I can understand the tension that people feel trying to support Navalny here. And I can also understand where people are coming from in proclaiming Russia a fascist state. Frankly, I feel like it's a crony capitalist state, not necessarily fascist. But then again, crony capitalism and fascism are often hand in hand, and often one and the same. So I wouldn't be surprised if at a certain point that the fascistic elements would overtake the capitalistic elements. But yes, I do think that there's more at play here. We'll see some of the protesting here. There's a lot of people that showed up. To be fair, although not as many as there could have been. Here I don't know more than 10,000 people and nobody's scared. Everybody knows what they want, and we just came to honor the memory of a man who's not scared of anything. Because he's a person who once made me interested in politics. We're covering Alexei Navalny's funeral here. Thank you, Alexei. Freedom to political prisoners. No to war. Damn. Yep. So apparently there were at least 91 arrests across Russia over the protesting. Yeah, that was on March 1st. Died at 47 in an Arctic penal colony on February 16th. He died during a walk. He went to take a walk, and then people found him later on, and he was not alive. I don't know if they ever found out how he died. I'm trying to see here. But apparently, like, the day before he died, he was in great spirits. He was on a call. Things were fine. And then, boom, dead. So very suspicious. Definitely very, very suspicious. He was living in Germany in 2021, ended up deciding to return to Russia after being poisoned by a nerve agent, most likely from Russia. Oh boy. Putin has also not commented yet on his death, so wonder what that's all about. Anyway, that's some more international news. Let's see what else is going on here. Mostly good international news, but there is one thing I wanted to touch on, which was kind of circling back to Gaza, which, of course, as many things these days do, this circled right back to Gaza again. There was a large vote, actually, domestically, for the primaries out there in Michigan, with regards to Biden and the Democrats. And I wanted to cover that, touch on that a little bit, just loading up some links up here for us here. Michigan had a very large uncommitted vote, actually, during the primaries. This was spurred on by an organized movement of voters. They wanted to show to Biden and to the Democrats that there was a large body of people that were not in support of the genocide, in support of Biden's actions, and wanted to make it known. I think they were going for like 10,000 votes, and they ended up with like 100,000 votes, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what the clip says.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez told Time magazine that she hopes President Biden will call for a ceasefire in his upcoming State of the Union address that is scheduled for next week. The president had hoped for a ceasefire to happen before the State of the Union address, but Hamas squashed that hope earlier this week. Israeli Defense Forces said that they are open to agree to some type of short-term ceasefire, provided that Hamas releases the hostages from Hamas's October 7th terror attack against Israel. Since the terror attack against Israel, more than 30,000 people have lost their lives in Gaza.
Okay, that was not very descriptive. Thank you, The Hill. Really appreciate it. I wanted to hear about the uncommitted vote. Sorry about that. Let's try this.
Well, the crucial battleground state of Michigan is weighing in on the 2024 fight for the White House. Both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have won their party's primaries decisively, pushing them closer to a November rematch, but with vulnerabilities on display. Although President Biden raked in around 80% of the Democratic vote, a key voting bloc selected uncommitted on the party ballot to protest the Biden administration's support for Israel in Gaza. The U.S. president did not mention them in his victory statement.
Of course not.
And while Trump notched a solid victory over Republican rival Nikki Haley, she still netted about a quarter of the vote.
I wanted to see how much. Hang on. I wanted to go back and see how many percentage. What was the percentage on that again? Hang on. Give me a sec. God damn it. Stupid video player. Here we go. 13%. 13% of people in the state decided to vote uncommitted in the primaries, which is a pretty sizable amount of the vote if you really think about it. That's just from one campaign that most people probably didn't even hear about. Imagine how much further we can get that uncommitted vote out there. I think it's a great move. I think it's a really great move, and it should be done in other places where the primaries are going on. I think if you can really send a signal to Mr. Brandon here that people are not happy with his situation, not happy with his decision making, I think that'll possibly change things. Hopefully, we can maybe get some sort of ceasefire direction going. Who knows? Who knows? So far, he's been ignoring pretty much every single person talking to him about this. But who knows? We'll see. We have to try every single avenue we can to try and get some sort of momentum going, something. And the fact that so many people now are even hearing about Palestine is shocking and heartening, in fact. Because if you think about it, how many people were talking about Palestine and supporting Palestine prior to October 7th? Not very many. Very few people were on board with supporting Palestine. And at this point, things have changed. Things have changed. The story has changed. I think we have a piece here. Hang on. This might actually be relevant. Let's see.
Activists with the Listen to Michigan campaign are calling on
Democrats
to vote uncommitted instead of voting for the incumbent Democratic president, Joe Biden, in order to register discontent about the president's policy in the Israel-Hamas war. Heading into tonight, Listen to Michigan was hoping to garner at least 10,000 uncommitted votes.
They did 10 times that.
Trump's
Hell yeah.
victory in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. Right now, they are at over 20,000 votes. That is almost 16% of the vote across the state.
This must have been early.
Michigan now expects they will even receive a delegate to send to the Democratic convention in Chicago this summer.
I hope so.
Joining us now is Layla Elabad, campaign manager for the Listen to Michigan campaign. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's a big night for your grassroots organization. Can I first get your thoughts on the numbers we have thus far? I think our official count is over 20,000. We have some reporting that says it could go as high as 100,000. We know that Joe Biden beat Donald Trump by 154,000 in the state. Is there any chance Listen to Michigan gets to that number?
I mean, that would be amazing for us to
They did get too far off from 154,000.
We know that we are emerging victorious. We had a modest expectation of 10,000 votes, and we've already doubled that just in the short time that after polling locations have closed. So we feel really good right now, and it would be amazing to reach those numbers as well.
There is some talk that you may earn a delegate to the Democratic convention. I wonder if you've kind of have a strategy for what you might do with that delegate and what the future of that delegate might be.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just really exciting to even think about the prospect of sending a delegate and having that. And we will talk about that as our next steps. Right now, we are celebrating this victory, and you know the Palestinians are in our hearts and prayers right now, and we know that we are doing this in order to have a permanent ceasefire and put pressure on Joe Biden to change course now.
When you talk about a permanent ceasefire, I wonder if you could tell me a little bit more about the coalition, because it seems as if there's if not two factions, two sides of it, insofar as one group of people who want to see concrete action from this White House, but then there may be another subset of individuals for whom the Biden administration has crossed effectively a red line, for whom they will not vote. They will not vote for Joe Biden in November. They may sit out the election.
I feel like this is like, this kind of statement feels like the sort of thing that like mainstream media would do to try and kind of begin the division process between it, like in an organization like this. Like, have you ever considered that maybe there are two kinds of people in this situation? People that are belligerent and people that aren't belligerent. What do you think? How do you think you could rectify that? Like, it's so stupid. Like, no, we're unified on this. This is we are here to support the Palestinians, and any action that helps to reduce their suffering is a good action, I think.
Entirely. Is that an accurate assessment? And could you give us a sense of the sort of breakdown in terms of what percentage of people are still open to a message and action from this White House?
Well, the Listen to Michigan campaign has been solely focused on the primary, to send that resounding message to Joe Biden that we need a ceasefire now. We need him to listen to his core constituency, his base that put him in an office in 2020. And he needs to listen to us when we say we need a permanent ceasefire in order to save as many lives as possible. And Michiganders, especially within our community, the Arab American and Muslim American community, this aggression has affected us directly. And so when we talk about these factions within this movement, this pro ceasefire movement, I think that there is going to be, come November, there is going to be folks that can't bring themselves to vote for Joe Biden because of that deep betrayal, not only as Muslim Americans and Arab Americans that have direct ties to Palestine and to that region, but also it feels a betrayal to our democracy that we would align ourselves, the United States would align themselves with Netanyahu and his right-wing government over the people that have been saying since October, we need a permanent ceasefire right now.
Yep. I mean, that's absolutely valid.
Inside the coalition about the possible scenario in which the sitting out of the election hands a victory to Donald Trump. Is that something that is
team sports.
Well, we know that our community that has supported Listen to Michigan, that have worked on Listen to Michigan, they're not going to vote in a monolith. So I can't speak for everyone that is part of our coalition. But what I do understand is that we know, this coalition knows that Donald Trump and his presidency was not a friend to the Muslim American and Arab American community.
They absolutely were not. In fact, he was the one who went ahead and confirmed Israel and was like, Jerusalem, this is the capital of the Israeli people. You know, he went in there. He like put the embassy in, the U.S. embassy. He like defined it. He's no friend to Palestinians at any point. So let's make that clear. Absolutely true.
That were part of this coalition. But what we can say right now is we focused on the primary to send this message to Joe Biden that he needed to listen to Michiganders when we said we need a permanent ceasefire now. And come November, it's going to be Joe Biden and the Democratic Party that are going to be held accountable for handing the White House to someone like Trump.
Layla, I love
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time tonight.
This is not the fault of the voter. This is the fault of the administration. This is the fault of the Democratic Party. If the Democratic Party wants to win elections, they need to represent the the people who are a part of that Democratic Party, who vote for that Democratic Party. If they are not representing the will of the people, they will not serve the will of the people. Sadly, that's the long and short of it. If you're not going to do the job, if you're not going to listen to your constituents, then you're not going to serve. There's no point. Frankly, the Democrats have been content to dangle big hot button issues, like, for example, abortion, over the heads of voters and say, listen, if you don't support us, the other guy's going to ruin this for you. And yet they do nothing to improve the situation and do nothing to support the people to make those, problems better. And then fall flat on their face when the other party wins, and then act like they're surprised. They act like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming. You got to vote for us harder. You got to donate harder. Blah, blah. Nancy Pelosi needs money. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Enough of this. Enough of this. We're done with news. We've ended our news segment. Boy, there's nothing but bullshit. But I will say this: congratulations on the campaign there for the uncommitted vote in Michigan. Michiganders, good job. Continue. We need to continue pushing this situation here. We need to continue pushing this protest. We need to continue getting our voices heard. So, thank you. I appreciate that and good work. Let's move on. Shall we? Let's move on to some pop culture. Let's do something more interesting, shall we?
Popular Culture Barometer. It's time for the weather report.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time for What's Popping, where we discuss pop culture, the internet, streaming, and more. Some more pleasant news, hopefully. Let's see what's going on today, shall we? I'm going to pull up my news bag and see what's in the news bag. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Okay. Here's some fun recent drama. We have some recent streamer drama centering on Hassan Piker and a number of other individuals related to Hassan with regards to real jobs. Hassan got slammed recently for discussing how hard it is to stream sometimes and how draining it can be. And he ended up getting slammed when people interpreted his statements as saying that streaming is harder than a real job. Let's watch the clip, shall we?
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will. So
was that it? I think that was it. Okay. Not much of a clip. That's all he said. So yeah, he said, yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will. Apparently some people didn't really respond well to that. Hassan responded, "It is wild how this completely out of context clip made its way to Twitter so fast. I was talking about how much a 9 hour stream eats away at my social battery and how I can't socialize after. Comparing it to my sales job before, I recognize how fortunate I am every day." And this is true. I've seen his clip. I've seen his shit plenty of times. He's always talking about how grateful he is. And a lot of people hate on this guy for obvious reasons because he advocates for a lot of leftist stuff. It makes sense why people would jump on this. It is definitely hard. Listen, I stream 4 hours. I'm going to say this. I stream 4-hour blocks twice a week. And that can drain me. That drains me. I feel pretty worn out afterwards. I usually need some time to myself after streaming. And I don't even have a huge audience. I just have occasional, some hardcore chatters that hop in here from time to time and say hello. Some friends that hop in here and say hello. I do this mostly as a hobby. Someone who does this professionally every day for 9 hours is definitely going to get drained. And other people, recognize that this was it made sense. It makes sense. Emaru and Extra Emily apparently they apparently worked a real job. In response to this, some people did some responses like this. So apparently, they started a real job. They went. What did they do? They worked at a sandwich shop on February 28th in Austin, Texas. They did this with OTK and with AT&T. After 3 hours into the stream, they said their feet were hurting. Let's see. There's a little clip here. Maybe we can watch.
My fingers hurt? Your feet hurt? From standing? Mine too, a little bit. Yeah, I wore terrible shoes for this. I just wanted to look tall behind the counter. Hello. I'm so tall. It commands presence. It's good. Yeah, this is
Such a bougie sandwich shop. All that white tile, I can tell it's bougie.
I've had him for like 4 years.
Nice. Do your feet hurt or anything, or used to it? No.
Every day.
Yes, that's good.
Used to it. Yeah. So yeah, they, people have been doing have been reacting off of this. Asmon's been reacting off of this as well, because he apparently agreed. Let's see, is there a clip on that?
I actually wasn't even planning on streaming today. I was like, I think I'm gonna just take the day off. But I started reading Twitter. I was like, man, there's a lot of retards. Like,
Jeez, he always drops the R word, man. Come on, man.
We gotta
Jesus
talk about
Christ.
this. Millionaire streamer Hassan Piker claims that a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you in the same way that streaming will. And the funny thing about this is that this kid goes and he says this to try to like fucking throw up a white flag. He's like, no, I'm actually on your side. I agree with them. Bro, quit the fucking capping. Like, this kid is lying. You're lying. What do you mean you agree with this tweet when you preface it by saying millionaire streamer? You really think that we don't, like, you think I haven't spent the last 20 years seeing Fox News do this shit? Seeing CNN do this shit? He definitely is trying to roast the shit out of him. Like, what are we talking?
It's true. Yeah. So anyway, just to make it clear, I think streaming it can be just as hard, if not harder. It's a social job. It is a job that drains your social battery. It's like, think about this. Being a stripper is a really hard job. Being a stripper, you have to dance, you have to like talk, you have to be like really flirty and like all bubbly and engaged with your patrons there. You have to be involved with them. It's a hard job. There's like a lot of elements to it, and it drains people a lot. What about like I don't know, like being a host at a restaurant? You're having to manage large groups of people and be engaging and social and talking to people. Sales jobs, you're always talking to people and having to like put on a fake smile and listen to their bullshit all day. I got drained all day having to take calls from people from my last job, where I was fucking taking calls for like fitness equipment, and dumbasses couldn't figure out how to assemble their fitness equipment. And it's like, okay, yep, that's draining. Like, any job where you're having to talk to people all day and respond to them and listen to their needs and shit like that is like gonna drain you. And streaming is no different. Just because it's like the vogue job right now, just because it's the job that's paying out big bucks because of big streams and shit like that, that doesn't mean that it's not work. I think what people should really be angry about, and what they're not directing their anger at, is the fact that the working conditions that most people live in are awful and miserable, and that we need some sort of revolution to change that. But anyway, that's the big hot like meta right now. The big hot drama right now is work streaming. Work streaming. Another fun story came out here that I think is actually really awesome. There was a Twitch streamer who ended up streaming in an Office Depot. He was like, was he playing WoW? I'm trying to see if there's like good clips here. I think I picked out a good clip. Hang on. One of these has to have a clip in it. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'll set up the context though. But Twitch streamer kicked out of Office Depot after bringing whole setup to store. During a February 28th broadcast, a Twitch streamer named Kanel Joseph had brought his camera and other gear into the store and set it up at a desk area, only to have an employee threaten to call security if he didn't get up and leave. Oh my god, let's watch.
What? You can't videotape in the store. Why not? I'm streaming right now.
It's against company policy.
I'm just trying to become like the next part-time streamer.
Pack up. Time to pack up, or I'll have security remove you.
Can I just finish this one?
No, you cannot. You gotta pack up. You cannot be here.
Diddy donated $1.
You lied to me.
Come give me that
ass.
ass.
To see what your system looks like.
Yeah, I gotta set it up just to test it out.
No, you're not gonna get out in the store. I mean, I'll let you set it up, but you can't run and video.
Oh, I can't run?
He's videoing over here, and no, you're gonna have to go.
Kinsler donated $1.
Chat saying
This back needs to soak in his cock.
Right now.
Chat saying like,
you have
oh
a
man.
few minutes to pack up and leave, or I'm gonna have security.
Bro, you gotta be a W man. Come on. Just dance
I'm
with strong.
telling you right now.
Wait. Okay.
We're done. Nope.
Right.
I love this.
Oh, worker chat. Just come closer. Just come closer, Luis. He's gonna try to block you.
This is insane. God, the chutzpah to do this. Yeah. So yeah, Bryce set up, did the IRL stream. I wonder how that turned out for him. Did he get banned for this? He said, "I'm just trying to become the next part-time streamer." Holy shit, that's so funny. Oh my god. Apparently, according to this article, South Korean Twitch streamers have been flooding the site with adult content. I didn't even know that. Is that true? Oh my god. Okay. I don't know if that's true. Don't know. I think that might be a rumor. Anyway, let's see. Did he get in trouble? Employees were chill, along with a photo of 2 employees. He seemed fine. That's so funny. Wait, look. Oh my god. For non-Spotify listeners or viewers, took some photos with them. That's so cute. I love that. That's so funny. Okay, I don't think Twitch clapped him. That's good. He just got scolded. That's so funny. All right, but anyway, that was one funny story I wanted to cover. I have another story as well. Man, there's just been a lot of news in terms of like Twitch, YouTube shit. This one is actually pretty crazy. I just heard about this one recently as somebody who actually used to kind of watch this guy's content. This is definitely bizarre, but apparently Wilbur Soot, a UK streamer, UK Minecraft streamer, has been getting some heat recently over some accusations by an ex that he was like kind of abusive and like biting a lot. He like did a lot of biting. Okay, let's see here. I'm just going to read this Sportskeeda article. We're going to get into it. Recent allegations made by American YouTuber Shelby Shubble, also known as Shelby Graces, against fellow creator and her ex-partner Wilbur Soot have left netizens divided. We know Wilbur from Dream SMP, used to roll with George Not Found, Tommy Innit, etc. Blah blah blah. Shelby accused him of living in filth and physically abusing her, including him allegedly biting her non-consensually and to an extent that caused her pain. This adds to other pre-existing accusations of the streamer's bad habit of biting and maintaining poor hygiene around his house. Is there a clip? This is the full VOD. I don't want to watch the full VOD. That's fine. Let's see here. She explained that she did not blah blah blah. In the live stream, she stated that an unnamed partner, who interpreted as Wilbur Soot based on evidence, had started biting her initially as a sign of affection, but later escalating to a point where she was allegedly covered in bruises all over her arms. Further, as per Shelby, he would poke at them despite them hurting for fun and would show them off. The pair had also started using a safe word for Shelby to use when Wilbur Soot's biting tendencies escalated beyond a limit. However, she stated that during the last few months of the relationship, it had become commonplace for her to use the safe word to the point that she had to use it each time. Oh my god. Okay, she's quoted as saying, his biting escalated to a point where I was covered in bruises all over my arms, and they would hurt, and he would poke at them for fun, and he even felt so comfortable showing off my bruises that he had caused to our friends because he would bite me so hard by accident. By accident. Oh my god. She also stated that the unnamed person was aware of how the bruises on her arms made it look like she was being abused, and hence he shifted to biting her legs instead. He would even, quote, he would even joke that it looked like he abused me, and eventually he did acknowledge how bad it looked that I was covered in bruises all the time, so he stopped biting my arms as often, and he started biting my legs instead. It was in the last couple of months in the relationship that every time he bit me, it was until I needed to use the safe word. It became his benchmark for when to stop. What the fuck? He apparently had a response. He had a classic text image response. In a past series, allegations have been made over my conduct from an ex-girlfriend. I want to emphasize that although I feel it fair to offer my perspective, this person's feelings are completely valid. During our relationship's last final months, I regrettably became slobbish, disrespectful, and selfish. I need some water. Hang on. I mean, he's apparently apologizing, it seems. The allegations of abuse, particularly in the form of biting, deeply shocked me. Blah, blah, blah. I understood from our numerous conversations and text message exchanges on the subject that this behavior was consensual, playful, and reciprocally enjoyed. Okay, so apparently he thought it was okay, and she thought it was clear that it was not okay. But yeah, apparently this spread out. Lil Tay slams narcissist Wilbur Soot's response to abuse allegations. I think that was another ex of his. Yeah. Here's the thing. This is bizarre. This is utterly bizarre, I gotta say. Very bizarre situation. And also, this has an easy solution. Can I just say this? This is a really easy solution. I've met people out in the wild, freaks out there in the wild, that want to be bitten sexually, like hard, like really hard. Like they want people to just like bite them really, really hard. There are people out there, Wilbur. You just need to go and find them. It is not hard. Just go get a FetLife. Get a fucking, like, go on Tinder. Just go out there and be like, hey, listen, I want to bite the shit out of somebody really badly. And just go out there and tell it. Just like find somebody. I know you're a content creator. It's going to get embarrassing, but like, who cares? Own it. Whatever. Like now this is even worse. This is way more embarrassing now because now everybody thinks that you're like a weird, like non-consent, like biter type guy. You should have just gone out there and been like, hey, I want to bite really hard. Are there any ladies out there that want to be bit really hard? Because I promise you, if you just went out there and were open about it, there would have been like 20, 30, 40 ladies lining up to be like, please, Wilbur, bite me. Please bite the shit out of me. Seriously. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, oh my God. I don't know about the rest of it. Like, I'm sure there's probably more context to this that we're not getting. But like, in regards to the to the biting shit, like, dude, come on. Just find someone who wants to be bit. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's really not hard, especially with like your clout status. I'm sure you could find some ladies that would delight in being bit. I'm just saying. Anyway, wanted to touch on this very weird situation. Hope they all figure out what the fuck's going on. Yeah. I have not watched his videos in a long time. I used to watch him back during the pandemic because, you know, Dream SMP was popping off. You know, you got to watch something. So I watched a few of his videos, whatever. But like, haven't seen him in a bit. Weird to see him pop up like this. Definitely didn't expect to see him in the news. Okay. Anyway, what else do we have? What else do we have on the bucket? There's been a lot of weird stuff on the list here. This one's pretty weird. Even more weird streamer news, actually. Kai Cenat had a weird fan. Kai Cenat, big YouTube, not YouTube, big Twitch streamer right now. Apparently, a TikToker had tattooed his face onto her face and is vowing to get a second face tattoo on her face if she is ignored. So yeah, he's a big time streamer, broke a lot of records. He took the Streamer of the Year award 2 years in a row, which is shockingly just a bunch of shocking amounts of work. Like, this guy's been like putting out bangers after bangers after bangers. He had a goddamn riot breakout over his giveaways. Like, this guy's popping off. So it's not surprising that he's got some crazy fans doing shit like this. But oh yeah, it's even worse. This is his baby photo. This isn't even like his actual. This is his baby photo. Oh, I didn't even realize that. But yeah, is there a clip? Do I have a clip? I think I might have a clip. Hang on. Where? Hold on.
Okay, little story time. So I did a stream with Kahtide like a year and a half ago, and realistically, I just wasn't expecting him to look the way he looked in person. Like, he actually is cute as fuck. Like, this little short motherfucker is cute as fuck. Then he's packed. Okay. Then he cool as shit. Like, he just matches my energy. You feel me? And I can just see that a lot of y'all little bitty bitches is doing little things that I did the biggest from the president. So if Kai doesn't accept this, I'm going to get his face on my face again. So Kai, I'm gonna give you about 72 hours to respond back to this.
God, she's still driving. She's driving while she's doing this.
As you can see, I have your baby face tattooed on my face. I go all out when I love, and I'm in love, like fuck with this man. Okay.
What did she hit?
So, if y'all can tag him for me and make it happen, that'd be nice.
Oh my God, this is not stable. Look, don't. This is not stable. You can't date that. You can't get anywhere near that. She's getting the second one, I think. Is that the second one? That has to be the second one, because that was the tattoo on the other side of her face. She is getting the second one. Holy shit. Why the fuck would Kai care what she does with her face? Oh my God. Oh, absolutely insane. People, please don't do this. Please don't get a tattoo. Please don't get a tattoo of somebody's face on your face. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, what else do we have? Anything else? I mean, in terms of crazy stream news? I don't think so. I think that was all the crazy stream news. Let's see if there's anything else going on. Oh yeah. Hey, I think everyone's already seen this already, but why not? We'll touch on it. There was a really fun Willy Wonka inspired experience in the UK that precipitated a police response due to how bad it was. I'm just pulling up some links for us here to glance over here. CNN even covered it. Willy Wonka inspired experience sparks outrage and online mockery after police called to event. Let's watch the clip. They paid $40 for this, by the way. I think. I think that better be converted
That's what
correctly.
Parents and kids in Scotland were expecting to see when they paid $40 a head for an immersive Willy Wonka experience. So what did they get instead? This, a sparsely decorated warehouse with a sad, bouncy castle. There was no captivating entertainment, no paradise of sweet treats, as was advertised. One actor who was hired to work the event described it as, quote, where dreams go to die. Attendees were so furious that one person even called the police. The organizer of the event has offered full refunds. CNN's Max Foster joins us now live from London. Max, good morning. You are
Absolutely
our
insane.
general all topics assignment reporter this morning, and I'm grateful that you are game to do this. People are looking at the website that advertised this event, which is still up, by the way. You can look at it, and they think that AI basically played a role in the images in the script.
AI played a role in everything in this
I don't know if we can show
situation.
that. Yeah, there we go. So that was what they thought they were going to see, right? I mean, that looks great. I'd pay for that.
Beautiful commentary. Absolutely. I was a big fan of Wonka. I would have been drawn in. They promised an enchanting world of Willy's chocolate experience where dreams come to life. This full immersive experience designed for families and children, promising a day of pure imagination and wonder. And you end
God,
up
this
with
guy's such a
this
fucking Chad.
and,
Jesus
a
Christ.
huge reaction to it.
Can we
We've
show
seen
that
the
warehouse, that bouncy castle?
Sorry, I'm
again?
just
Let's
like
throw
this.
that up
I'm
and see
just
what people
noticing how
actually got,
handsome this
right?
anchor is.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it actually looked like.
And to
Go
be
ahead, Matt.
fair to the organisers, by the way, nothing to do with our company, which made Willy Wonka, of course, but
Right,
this
we
was
should
an
know that.
event gone wrong. The House of Illuminati, as they're called, will not be holding any other event in the foreseeable future.
House of Illuminati. What a weird name for a production
Discover their
company.
own movie. You can totally imagine this, can't you, as a sort of a documentary behind the scenes in the most disastrous sort of warehouse mashup of something that didn't exist in AI.
So-
it is the AI story, though, isn't it? Where you can.
It is an AI story, absolutely. Some the Oompa Loompas here at the Oompa Loompa Meth Lab. You can see in this image here, Spotify users. There are some green-haired ladies behind a counter with like a chemistry set. It's very very weird. It's very bizarre. I'm sure most people have seen this by now. All the kids got a half cup of lemonade, of Tesco brand lemonade. Tesco brand lemonade. Oh my god. Did I get one? There's like an hold on. No, shut up, Wired. I want to see the article. Yeah, the guy who actually fuck you, Wired. I hate Wired. Wired sucks. There was an interview with the actual guy. I want to see if I can find it. Hang on. Willy Wonka. No, Willy Wonka, Glasgow. Interview. Here we go. Okay. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna watch the Willy Wonka actor's response really quickly.
Absolute mess. The fact that I was.
Hold on. Here, let's play it again.
It was an absolute mess. The fact that I was a part of it is one of the most embarrassing things that's ever happened to me. We were told on the experience to hand out one jelly bean
One jelly
per
bean.
child, and a quarter of a cup of Tesco's own brand lemonade. That was what the children got. No chocolate. But the first red flag for me was when I was cast as Willy Wonka. Anyone who looks at me and thinks Willy Wonka and not Oompa Loompa is out of their mind. The script was 15 pages, monologue, pretty much, of AI-generated gibberish. One of my favourite lines was, "There is a man who lives here. His name is not known. We call him the Unknown. The Unknown is an evil chocolate maker who lives in the walls."
I love the Unknown. There was a guy with like a scary mask and stuff, and he would like wander out and shit like that, and scare the children. The Unknown. It was very, very bad, very awful, terrible situation. Everyone got refunded. Cops got called. Event got shut down, and AI had a really big thing to play with it. Hold on, I want to see if I can find the ad. Willy Wonka, let's go ad. Because it was really bad. The ad was really, really obviously bad. Like, look at this. Look at some of these ads. Like, ugh. First of all, this is like just the most stereotypically AI garbage that you could possibly imagine. Where is the one that I want, though? There's one with like really bad text on it. I don't know if I should be scrolling through here like this. Okay, it's fine. Not to worry. Well, you can find these ads for yourself. But yeah, great time. Great time was had by all. Great time was had by all. Anyway, what else do we have? What else is on the news today for pop culture? Oh, we have some gaming news. It's sad gaming news because, of course, everything in the gaming industry these days is sad because everything is fucking dying in the gaming industry. So let's cover that, shall we? We're covering layoffs. More layoffs amongst many layoffs. EA lays off 5% of its global workforce as part of a second major restructuring in 2 years. Wow, isn't that great? 2 major restructurings in 2 years. That's definitely the sign of a healthy industry, wouldn't you say? When one of the largest players in the industry is facing its second major restructuring in 2 years. Wonder why that happens. Let's see here. So Cartoon Brew reports, like so many developers this year, video game giant Electronic Arts has confirmed that it's laying off 5% of its global workforce, or approximately 670 individuals. Android Wilson, the EA CEO, explained that the layoffs are part of a more extensive restructuring that will include sunsetting some live service titles and canceling the development of ongoing projects, particularly those based on licensed IPs. I can understand this. So EA has invested shit tons into live service games that nobody wants to fucking play, and nobody plays. So now they're going to cut them out because nobody wants to play them, and they're just going to, take the loss instead. And of course, the license IP situation I can understand as well, because license IPs want money from the IPs that they want money from what they're selling. And for example, Star Wars was one IP that they completely shot the bed on so many times. If you really think, that's one example I cite multiple times. When LucasArts and before LucasArts and Lucasfilms got sold off, they were selling so many games. So many Star Wars games were coming out. At least like 5 a year were coming out, because Star Wars was a franchise that wanted to build on itself and to develop itself. Then when Disney bought it and sold off the gaming rights to EA did what? They made like a game and then filled it with microtransactions, and then made like another game and then filled out with microtransactions. They have barely made any games for Star Wars at all that have really stood the muster. Battlefront was dog shit. Nobody fucking gave a shit about Battlefront. even after they fucking corrected course on the microtransactions, you know. Yeah, looks like we've got studio closure as well involved in here. Ridgeline Games, which was working on a single-player Battlefield game, has been shuttered. Lovely. So no more Battlefield there. They've canceled a Star Wars first-person shooter that was being developed by Respawn Entertainment. I'm sure Respawn will probably collapse as well here soon. Last March, the company laid off 6% of its workforce, around 775 employees. Cartoon Brew continues on to say that the game industry is hemorrhaging jobs right now, with many of the biggest companies laying off a significant number of employees. Earlier this week, Sony revealed it was letting go of 900 employees from its PlayStation unit, which is 8% of its global workforce. And before that, Microsoft let go of 1,900 workers, 8% of its workforce, at Xbox and Activision Blizzard. Unity Software laid off 1,800, which is a quarter of its workforce. Riot Games laid off 530 employees, which is 11% of its workforce, and Embracer Group laid off 97, or 20% of its workforce at Eidos Montreal. So we hear a lot about these numbers, you know, and we never really think about the cost, about what that does to people. But I think about that cost, and IGN did think about that cost here. Rebecca Valentine put together an article as well, thinking about that cost. I stopped believing myself. Game developers share the human impact of over a year of mass layoffs. Developers reveal how they've been impacted. Let's get some quotes. Let's see what they have to say. They told me stories of how it impacted their physical and mental health, and how the loss of income, insurance, and security was hurting their families and their plans for the future. Some had moved across the country or even across the world for their jobs. A few reported being laid off simultaneously with a partner who was also in the industry. Some told me they had been laid off twice in 1 year. Both quoted, one person was quoted here, both times I felt incredibly gutted. The first time, it felt like a reality of capitalism that I was expecting. The second being so close to the first, it was like, we really are just cogs in the machine. It's true. It's absolutely true. And the game industry has done nothing but churn and burn through so much talent. So much fucking talent. One person here said, I lost my job and my health insurance. We got 1 month of severance, but I've been collecting unemployment and doing some consulting work to help supplement. It's been really stressful, and my wife has had to get a job to support us while I'm looking for work. I am terrified that I will not have something lined up by the time my unemployment runs out, and have considered leaving the industry altogether. We've had to aggressively cut costs, live paycheck to paycheck, and I am choosing to forego some of my medications because they're too expensive to refill. It sucks. Listen to that. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? Isn't that fucking insane? Another quote. I, like many of my coworkers, was incentivized by the Bungie leadership to move to be local to the office. So I was alone when I first started working, said a former Bungie employee. This was my first professional career position, and I invested everything in this opportunity. I started working right out of college and relied on health insurance provided to have medical checkups. As of now, I am solely relying on unemployment benefits to keep myself afloat. I was someone who went into the office daily to meet people and seek the opinions of developers with more experience and skill than I. It was a dream come true. Those people were laid off as well. I reiterate that. I want to reiterate that sentence. I was someone who went into the office daily to meet people and seek the opinions of developers with more experience and skill than I. It was a dream come true. Those people were laid off as well. It is not an understatement to say that I bet everything on Bungie and the house always wins. As I was picking up the pieces of my life last year, my outlook didn't change, and my hope was that this hiccup could lead to something greater. I still hope for the best for Bungie, and I know the creatives employed there will succeed, but I hope this kind of layoff never happens again. Even after getting laid off like this, after investing everything and getting fucking thrown in the gutter, this person is still hoping for the best for Bungie and for the people working there. Here's another person. I just moved into a new apartment a week or two prior and signed a new lease, said a former employee of a support company that partnered closely with Microsoft. I, of course, now have zero income except what I'm getting for the moment from unemployment. My pay had been bad enough. I had no savings. Lost my health insurance, and boy, has that been a mess. Does this paint a picture of what happens to the people that are in precarious situations in the game industry? The people that work the jobs here are not paid enough to take care of themselves. They're not paid enough to live off of. And still, they are getting fired. They are getting laid off. They are getting shoveled off. Who is getting paid the most? It is not these people. It is the people that are in charge of the game industry. It is the people that are running the show. It is the stockholders. It is all of the people that do not make the game. It is all the people that leech off of the game. It is all of the parasites that claim to be necessary but are merely middlemen, unnecessary middlemen that do not need to exist anymore. These publishers, these corporate cronies, these bastard fucking greed-hungry capitalists need to be scraped off of the industry and flung into the trash. We cannot persist like this. AAA gaming is a cancer. It is not going to survive. It is going to tank the gaming industry. The only thing that is going to survive is fucking passion and zeal and true artistry. It is not going to be corporate AI-driven garbage. It is going to be fucking true passion. It is going to be true grit. It is going to be the people who care about the game industry. It is going to be the people who care about games as a medium. They are going to save this industry, and they continue to save this industry. Every single top hit in this fucking industry has been a fucking indie game. I cannot name a single like AAA game like outside of fucking like Elden Ring, which actually had some artistry put into it, or like fucking Red Dead Redemption, which ground its employees to like dust. Those are just like art beautiful games, of course. But like how many Red Deads or how many Elden Rings do we get compared to like 10 Left Behinds or like fucking Marvel bullshit, pumped out crap that nobody plays, or some live service garbage? Like fucking how many praise are we gonna get? You know, like come on. And this has been going on for decades, like probably at least 2 decades now. Like come on, let's get real here. Let's get real. Oh my god. Let's see another quote. I just want to read a couple more quotes here because I want to hammer this point home. I really do want to hammer this point home. Survivor's guilt. Those who remain continue to feel the lingering impact of layoffs, even if they escape the cuts themselves. Several workers in that situation described having survivor's guilt, with many telling me they felt their work suffered from the anxiety that they might be laid off too. Quote, I was fortunate enough to avoid any layoff, but there was a lingering atmosphere of fear and uncertainty for the rest of the time I remained at the company, said one developer who survived layoffs only to eventually quit their job at an Embracer Group operated studio. Quote, I feel guilty for still being around, and I felt somewhat apathetic to my work, knowing that it would help enrich the people responsible for this tragedy. For a lot of my industry colleagues, I know they're sharing more and more non-games roles as we collectively realize the pool of work is simply drying up, and it will and will only get worse. Excuse me. Despite the games industry still being massively profitable, it's become clear that the space is not tenable for stable employment, let alone career/professional development. One developer who was laid off from Creative Assembly pointed out that the length of time it takes to develop a game combined with constant layoffs means it can be very difficult for a developer to finally get their name in the credits of a project, which in turn can make it harder to further their careers. Another glaring issue in this whole problem, because if you're not at the end of a game project seeing it off, you're not in the credits, even if you contributed work. Most of the time, you don't get featured in the credits, even if you added something to it. You don't get featured if you're not in the company at the end of the game once it releases, which is abhorrent. No one should ever be subject to that. Quote, I can't get over how wild it is that some devs work for upwards of a decade and still don't have a title release with their name in the credits, they said. I know a lot of devs stay until a game is finished, which can take over 5 years, but the chances of that game even getting over the finish line seems fickle. A lot of people stayed working on Hyenas just to see it release, only to get laid off. Surely this isn't a sustainable way of working. And there's even more. Thankfully, IGN has been reporting on this, and they've been adding a lot of these articles here. This also affects disabled game developers because disabled game developers are often forced to sacrifice their treatments, medications, and their care when they get laid off. Quote, I am on 2 medications, and before, when I was on healthcare, the cost was negligible, he said. Per month, the cost was probably less than $20. I found out if I'm paying out of pocket and they are not covered expenses, that balloons up to anywhere from $100 to $200 a month for those 2 medications for me alone. My wife has a bunch of maintenance medications as well. We had to do some serious number crunching to be like, okay, what do we need to do to make this work? No one should ever have to do that. That is disgusting. Quote, I was being weaned off medication. We are trying to get me to not need it anymore, he said. I just flat out ran out in September and went, I guess I'll just stop taking this medication. It's fucking so sad. Here's another person. I'm early in trans care and I couldn't afford that at all, they said. It was kind of like, did you want trans care or did you want your psych meds? So I chose psych meds. I still haven't completely been able to get back on track with my trans care because it's really expensive and I dropped my savings to survive. Another one. I am very lucky in some ways that my mother-in-law was willing to help me out, help out me and my husband. There was definitely cutting back things and being more careful about money, but we weren't going to be homeless, which was very appreciated. But now my husband is facing layoffs too. He also works in games, so we are in this cycle of one of us is always going to be laid off. I don't know how much more I can say. Like, how much more can you say? Like, it's so sad. It's sad. It's absolutely saddening. These are the people that make the games that we love. We love these games. And these people are getting laid off over and over and over again. Like, fuck, imagine you like fucking God damn it. I don't even know. Like, here, how about this, Swifty? Like, we'll connect it to the Swifties because the Swifties are crazy. Look, what if Taylor Swift, every time she made an album, she got laid off and she had to go to a new record label every time and be like, please, can I record another label with you, please? And they didn't pay her $1 million, by the way, or $1 billion, or whatever the fuck she's making. They paid her like fucking a grand for a fucking, her contribution. They paid her like 10 grand. Here's 10 grand for your album. Oh, and we're laying you off, by the way. So enjoy unemployment. And she had to do this over and over and over and over again. Or imagine anybody had to do this. Imagine fucking a Hollywood actor having to do this. Or anybody, any creative. Imagine any of the people that work in the back end of Hollywood movies getting laid off over and over and over again. No, nowhere else does this. But in order to meet shareholder expectations, in order to meet the bottom line, companies like Activision Blizzard, companies like Microsoft, they will lay off. They will lay off people. They will cut as many numbers as they need to in order to get that number up, and then they will hire back on for the next project and the next project, and they will repeat this disgusting, horrible cycle over and over and over again. And frankly, it will not stop until there's some sort of legislation. Europe has legislation for this. Europe, you cannot be laid off like this without advance prior notice and like a plan in place with like payment, with like actual like a salary getting paid to you over the course of your layoff. America does not have these restrictions. America does not care. It does not care. It absolutely does not care. Quote, my quality of life went from feeling very stable and very independent to all of a sudden feeling very scared. And I feel like I have no value, they said. I started to have widespread muscle pain just from the stress. I've definitely gone downhill. Heck, this could be any of you. This could be any of you. I'm telling you, this could be anybody. Anybody, it could be me, it could be you. Frankly, it's a lot of people. A lot of people are getting laid off. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people can't find work. We need to do something about it. We need to unite. We are workers. We have the power of our labor behind us. All they have is their money and their promises. That is all they can offer. They do not have anything else to offer. We need to tie ourselves together. We need to recognize our worth, our class consciousness. The rich have class consciousness. They recognize their status as the rich. They recognize that they must defend their wealth. They recognize that they must defend their power, their status, their control. They recognize that they must defend each other in order to defend themselves. They cannot betray one another, or else all will fall. We do not have this same class consciousness. We must not let ourselves be divided. We must recognize the true enemy is capital. We must fight it with every fiber of our being. The video game industry is but one microcosm of a grand problem that is affecting our society. If you think that the injustices of the video game industry, the injustices that it inflicts on its employees, not just its employees, but its customers as well, and the greater society that it inhabits, if you think that the injustices that it inflicts on these things is strong like I do, then you can only imagine the kind of injustices that are happening across every other industry in this society of ours. And so that's where I think I will leave things today for the little pop culture rant of mine. My God, I went off on a bit of a tangent. Ooh, I need some water. Hang on. All right, let's move on. I'm going to wrap things up here, and we're going to move on to our final segment of the show, Questions with Kahtide, where I answer advice questions. Oh, and we have an ad incoming, so if you're watching currently on the stream, and if you want to help support the stream, consider subscribing. You can avoid the ads. And if you're watching or listening outside of the stream, thank you, everybody, for the follows, for any other subscriptions, for Koffee donations, for Patreon donations, anything like that. If you want to contribute, those mean the world to me. Thank you so much. Now let's move on to our next segment, Questions with Kahtide, shall we?
You've got questions, we've got answers. Tell them, Kahtide.
All right, everybody. It's time for Questions with Kahtide. This segment is where I kind of go over some anonymously submitted questions, as well as questions submitted through the chat via channel points. I answer things here about life, work, love, all kinds of advice questions, things like that. If you have a question, if you have something you want to ask, if you have a problem in your life, consider submitting. You can submit live on Twitch during the show, or you can submit through the Coffee with Kahtide Google form that you can find in my link tree. It's not hard to find. Go check out my profile. You should see all that stuff down there. Remember, don't submit bigoted or distasteful questions, or you will face my wrath. By wrath, I mean I'll delete your question, and I probably will ban you if it's bad. So be nice. Other than that, feel free to ask a question, especially if you're looking for advice on life, love, and labor, or if you got a question for me. All right, we've got a couple of anonymous questions we'll get through here today. Okay, first one, freedom or duty? I think somebody, maybe a Stallcrafter or maybe a Stalker fan, might have sent that one in. For those unfamiliar, there are two factions in the game Stalker called Freedom and Duty. Freedom is a fun-loving faction that wants to share the zone, a region of psychically and anomalously unstable space with the world, and to share its secrets with the world and its artifacts with the world, whereas Duty believes that the zone is a place of danger and of evil that must be stamped out and destroyed. Personally, I am a freedom boy. What's up, freedom? Bow, 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 bow. Because Duty is full of fucking idiot fascists and assholes who can't have a good time, and freedom is full of cool people who want to have a good time and also smoke a bowl. So that's where I line up. Also, freedom's got better gear. Let's just say it. They've got the ghillie suits and shit. They've got just like the cool camo. It's way better. Duty's all about the fucking black and red, and ain't my thing. Ain't my thing. Hope that answers your question. Thank you. All right. What's up? What's next? Let's see. A lot of personal questions here. What was the last good book you read? Thank you for your question, anonymous asker. Also, thank you for the last question, anonymous question askers. Last good book I read. tell you the truth, I don't keep up on books as much as I used to. I do a lot of reading, but I just don't read a lot of books. I don't read a lot of novels. I know, shame on me. But I did read one last year recently. It was like a couple months ago. I do like old school sci-fi stories, so I read The Stainless Steel Rat. Anyone familiar with that one? That one's it's very good. It's a pretty short one. It's much more paced like an adventure story, but it's kind of the premise is that it's in the future. There's this guy, I forget his name. I forget many details about books after I read them. I mostly remember the story concepts. But there is a guy. He is a self-described stainless steel rat, a thief and rogue who is experienced at navigating future technology and future norms in order to be an expert thief. So he goes about his story of like basically being a thief, trying to like knock over planets and stuff like that. He goes on this whirlwind sci-fi adventure where he travels across the stars. He meets this lady who's like a serial killer, but she's also like banging, so he wants to get with her. Crazy shit like that. It's just a romp. It's a real romp. He details my favorite part about it, I would say, is that he details quite well the capers that he goes on. So like he discusses like in detail how he goes about planning a heist, the steps he takes, the hiccups that happen, and how he compensates for them. All the good things that you would expect in a good caper. I love capers personally. I love a good heist story, a good thievery story. Frankly, it's one of those sorts of things that I would love to run in like a tabletop setting. It might be one I would want to try out here. Maybe a stream game would be fun to do. But yeah. It's a good caper and a lot of fun, and one I would love to continue reading because there's more to the story. It's kind of a series. So, Stainless Steel Rat, old school sci-fi. Go check it out. So, hope that answers your question, anonymous question asker. Okay, let's break it up with some advice. How about that? My friend and I have been arguing about this for a few days now. Which is better for relationships, monogamy or polyamory? Thank you, anonymous question asker, for your question. This is a difficult question and a philosophical one, I think. It is all about your philosophy of life and relationships. I don't think one is better. I'm just going to say it flat out. I don't think monogamy or polyamory is better. Shocking, I know. Shocking question. Or shocking answer to this question. I think that they both have their pros and cons. I think it depends on the person. Some people prefer to, have like a, how do I describe this? I don't know. This is a tricky question to describe. Some people want to have like the one person in their corner that they can rely on. Some people want that partner that they can, that rock that they can be really firm to, and are uncomfortable with sharing, or maybe it's just not their thing. Maybe they just want that kind of dedication. I think it's fine. Some people prefer more of an open environment. Some people want to be able to like have different people in their lives. Some people want to have different experiences. I think that's fair too. I don't think one is better, but I think they have different requirements. I think that in monogamy there is like, I think in monogamy the requirement is more a level of like, I don't know, a level of investment in being with one person, and also a willingness to attempt to rekindle desire repeatedly. Because I think that with monogamy, it can be very easy to fall into a routine or for things to go stale. And I think it's important to be able to reinvent yourself in a relationship with one person. I think that's why maybe like divorces happen a lot, or like maybe marriages kind of peter out into like less exciting directions, is because people don't really know how to reignite the spark with their monogamous relationships. So I think if you can master that and you can like fall in love again and again with somebody over and over and rediscover great things about one another, And also, if you can invigorate your relationship with a lot of interesting and exciting experiences that go beyond just the relationship and go into like yourself, and also go into a greater whole as like a partnership, I think that can really help to maintain a relationship, like a monogamous relationship, and to help it persist for a long time. I think with polyamorous relationships, the advantage, the difference is that, you know, you don't have to necessarily be you don't have to put so much work into necessarily maintaining like, or like reigniting passion, I think, in polyamory, but you do have to put a lot more work into communication. Both require a lot of communication, but I think with polyamory, there's an even further extension of that communication, whereas you're not just communicating necessarily with like you and one partner, but you're communicating with other partners. You're communicating those partners, communications to other partners. You're navigating between a web rather than just a one-on-one partnership oftentimes. So like, you need to be prepared to like be mature. You need to be prepared to communicate well. You need to be prepared with strong boundaries as well. You need to have a good sense of boundaries, because if you don't have good boundaries in a polyamorous relationship, that's a recipe for disaster. You will do things that maybe you shouldn't be doing. You will you'll go into situations you don't feel comfortable with, or, you'll cross other people's boundaries and cause a situation between a number of people. Like it's important to know what your boundaries are and to be respectful, I think. So that's an important element, I would say. Yeah. So I would say polyamory definitely has its benefits. You have a lot more, you have a lot more people involved in your life. You have a lot more variety. You can do a lot of different things and meet different people and don't feel as restricted. But of course, again, there's a lot more work involved with that. With great power comes great responsibility. So I guess it really just depends on what you feel is better for you. Like, if you prefer to know that you've got a partner that has your back and you're willing to put in the work to keep the relationship alive for a long time, I think that's one way to go. And I think if you are willing to kind of see a lot of different people's perspectives and to be mature about it and to experience a lot of stuff, I think polyamory has its benefits too. Hey, Sordior, how's it going? All relationships take a lot of work. Absolutely. That is so true, Sordior. You're so right. All relationships take a lot of work, and you got to be willing to put the time in. It just definitely takes more work when you have more people. That's definitely the thing. The more people are involved, the more work is involved, but also the more variety and possibility is involved as well. So consider your options, anonymous chatter, and I thank you again for your question. Glad to see you here, Sordior. Hope you're having a great one today. Always glad to see you. If you, Sordior, have a question, feel free to submit one via chips or channel points, as they're called. You can always submit one as well. Anybody else who's watching the stream. But let's see, do we have any other questions here? I do have one that's sort of serious here in the anonymous box. I've been going through a really hard time and I don't know how to get through it. My living situation is unbearable. I hate living with my parents. Did you ever live with your parents, and how did you get through it? Oh boy. Sorry about that, anonymous question asker. Thank you for the question. Yes, I did spend some time living with my parents back in the day. It's been many years since that's been the case, but I do remember there was a time I ended up when I just got out of high school, I worked at home for a while and then managed to save up enough, and I moved out to another to the city, and I started living there for a while, and it was good, and I had a roommate and things were going well, and then I lost my job and couldn't get a job again and couldn't make the bills, so I had to move back home, and I had to move my roommate in with me. And actually at that point my parents were divorced and it was just my dad there, so me and my roommate and my dad all lived together for a couple months or a year. It was very weird. It was weird and not fun, and it was not fun to live with my parents. My dad would always be like, you can stay here for a long time and go to college and not have to pay rent and stuff. And I was just like, I don't want to live here with you. you're divorced and sad and like I don't want to be here. I want to live on my own and like have girls over and like smoke weed and drink and not have to worry about you. Like it was just I didn't want to be there. I don't want to be there. Wanted to do my own thing. Sword says, I mean, not paying rent is nice. That is true. Not paying rent is nice, but I was willing. I still feel like this. I'm willing to pay rent if it means I get to have my space. Like I don't want to be at somebody else's space. I want to be in my own space. I want my own space. I want my own area just for me where I can have my own little room and I don't have to deal with anybody. And living with my dad was unbearable in that regard because not good. And also living with my roommate and my dad at the same time was very weird because my roommate and my dad had weird interactions. And my roommate also was just like, he just didn't have any like homemaking skills. So I'd have to like teach him how to like run the like washer and the dryer and like the dishwasher and teach him how to like fucking fry food or like cook. And he would just take everything like it was like the hardest thing on the planet. It was so weird. I don't know. Look, it's just not good. The way you get through it is, oh boy, how did I get through that? Oh God. I kind of went insane, I think. And at a certain point, you have to let yourself go a little insane, I think. I kind of was a little crazy. I was like, what ended up happening? Oh my God. I think oh my God, I would just like take midnight walks, I think. I just like go out in the middle of the night and just walk sometimes. And like, I would do a lot of art. That would help. I think do a lot of art. That might help. Get a job. That helped too. I got a new job and I moved out and I found a new place. And also I didn't live with that roommate anymore. That helped. Don't do that. Yeah. How about that? That's my advice. Get a job. Go find a place for yourself. If you can find a place for yourself on your own, that's great. Find a studio and just cherish it and don't get a roommate. Don't get a roommate. And don't move back in with your parents afterwards. Just get a studio, get a job, and stay away. Just stay far, far away. I don't know. Does that help? I don't think that helps. What else can you do? I don't know. Anything else? Anything else you could do? Sordier says, it is really tough to find a place without a roomie these days. Yeah, that's true. Get a roomie that is chill and is not going to get in your shit. How about that? That's a good idea. Get a roomie who's not going to get in your business. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard out there. It's really hard out there. Sorry. Good luck with the parent situation. I hope you get away from it and have a good one. Thank you to Anonymous Chatter. Okay, we got one more in the old anonymous box. So I'm going to read that one out here before we close out. And this is just a fun one. Anonymous Chatter asks, what's some kind of future tech, flying cars, jetpacks, that you were promised as a kid that you wish was real? Oh, God. I mean, besides spaceships and like going to space and like living in space and all the space things that could be possibly done. Besides all that, let's see. Future tech. I feel like there was an idea of like night vision goggles being cheaper in the future, and I feel like that was something I was always really looking forward to. Like I was really looking forward to night vision goggles, and I still kind of want them really, really, really badly. Even though I wear glasses, so it'd be hard to wear night vision goggles anyway. But like, I felt like there was an idea that they would be cheaper. Like we got like all these ads back in the day for like spy tech, children's spy tech, and it was like, you know, like UV ultimate night goggles, or like invisible ink pen, or some crazy kooky like spy shit, like long range like microphone, like pick up sounds from 80 feet away, things like that, you know. And I felt like night vision goggles were a part of that, but they were always like shit and didn't really actually do anything, you know. That I just wish I had a good pair. Or like thermal goggles would be so cool. I would love a pair of thermal goggles. I would wear thermal goggles like just like as a fashion accessory at that point. I think I would just wear them all day. I would be like the goddamn Predator. I'd be like, you know, I just be like crawling around. I would go out into the middle of the night and I would look for heat sources. I would look for heat signatures and I would hunt them down. I would be a menace. I would be a neighborhood menace with my heat vision goggles. That's my tech that I wish existed, or at least not that I wish existed, but I wish was like more democratized. Like, you know, like if we think about it, like flying cars and jetpacks do exist. It's just that they're not like easy or convenient or, you know, relevant, I guess, to today's living situation, you know. And definitely like night vision goggles and thermal visions do exist, but like not, I don't want to spend $1,000 on that, you know. No wonder they didn't release them. They feared the Kahtide menace. I would be a menace. Are you kidding me? If I had, here's what I would do. Here's my idea. If I had the ability to get like thermal goggles, I would literally like do a live Twitch stream where I would like wear like a crazy like scary outfit, and I would go out into the forest with my thermal goggles, and I would just be feral. I'd be like, and I would like run around in the woods, and I would just like live stream myself being a fucking feral animal predator. It would be incredible. That would do so many numbers. Are you kidding me? Predator streams? God. Oh my God. Trying to become your own cryptid? Oh my God. Copyright this idea. I'm copywriting this idea, by the way. This idea has been copyrighted. Cryptid streams, copyrighted. Nobody can do this, so just bear in mind, this is Kahtide copyright. Putting my label on that. As soon as I get heat vision goggles and I can go out into the forest, I'm doing cryptid streams. We're doing a Kahtide cryptid stream, okay? Copyright. Just letting everyone know. Trademark. Kahtide cryptid stream. We're trademarking it. It's happening, people. As soon as I get somebody sending me $1,000, we're in the money. We're in business. It's happening. We're doing live streams. Hell yeah. All right. I think that's the last question I've got in my bucket. Unless, Sordior, you got a question for me? Any questions before we round out today? Oh my God, I want to do a Kahtide cryptid stream now so bad. That would be so cool. I mean, my avatar's goggles look like it for real. They do look like it. I got the red eyes, you know, like the predator eyes. I got the predator eyes. I'll find you. I'll start biting you like Wilbur Soot. I'll go out there and I'll start nibbling on you like Wilbur. You won't even know what hit you. I'll be like, my teeth will be out and I'll just start ripping and tearing like good old Wilbur Soot. Like that. Oh shit. Okay. I think that'll wrap it up. I don't got anything else for you crazy people. Okay. Thank you everybody. Thank you everybody who submitted a question. I super duper appreciate it. If you want to submit another question, hey, that Google form is in the link tree. Go check it out. You can also submit one with channel points during the stream. That's our show, folks. It's always great to spend time with you. Today's been no exception. But like all good things, even our time together must end, if only for a little bit. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody who chatted, who turned up. Cryptidized. Sortier says I should be cryptidized. That's going to be the plan. We're going to live stream the cryptid stream. Copyright. Just saying it. Putting the copyright on it. Slapping it on there. And lastly, again, we're just going to thank everybody from the live audience, to our Spotify listeners, to our VOD enjoyers, and to everyone else who enjoys the show. Special call out to our latest followers and for our gifted subs. Thanks, Sortier, for the recent gifted sub. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Sortier says, thanks for the stream. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day/night. Thank you, Sortier. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for subscribing on the socials, subscribing on Discord, and for subscribing on the Twitch, and for the YouTube. You're awesome for joining the Kahtide crew. Tune in next Saturday and Sunday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll do some more gaming. Probably not going to do another Coffee with Kahtide next week. I think we're going on a bi-weekly schedule now for the news. We'll do some more gaming. Maybe some more maybe we'll do Hotline Miami 2. Maybe we'll do some StallCraft. I know we had some interest in the StallCraft from yesterday with the last raid, so we might do that. But yeah, tune in next week. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody. Oh, one more thing.
This is the big booming voice letting you know to follow and subscribe to Kahtide.
Thank you, big booming voice. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, looks like that's our show, folks. Until next time.